Miami. We have finally made it to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, down to two teams. Like I said this past Tuesday, Miami, Indiana. We're ready to rock and roll for the national championship. And we got our national championship preview prediction show here right now. No guest picker today. We're going to end it kind of how we normally end it and how we started with me and you. Guys, not only that, we're going to recap Indiana's season. We're going to recap Miami's season, how they got there. We're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, we're going to discuss a little bit of what happened regarding some NFL draft news and regarding the 2026 college football season down in Eugene, Oregon. Guys, we're ready to rock and roll. Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean or Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. Instagram is at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow like the pages there. There's also the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, we are at 6,400 listeners, 6,400 listeners across all audio platforms. We are at the subscriber count just keeps on going up on YouTube. We are now at about, I think, 70,000 YouTube channel views. Guys, a big thank you for tuning in each and every week to Pigskin Frenzy, because without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this show. This is an us show. So, guys, we're so thankful for you guys tuning in and listening in each and every Tuesday and Thursday. Without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. Also, most importantly, we could not do this show without our Lord and Savior, Jesus, because without Jesus, we would not be here. We would not be here without our Lord and Savior, because, I mean, we wouldn't be doing this. Like I said, we would not be doing this. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be in college football media. We wouldn't have the platform to spread his good name across all platforms. So, guys, if you want to come to know Jesus, it's the best decision you can ever make in your life. Guys, X and Instagram is at Pigskin_Frenzy. Contact me there. You can also contact me on the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. It's the best decision you can ever make in your life. We give him all the praise. We give him all the praise for delivering us into college football media and to be doing Pigskin Frenzy. Without him, we would not be doing it, and we give him all the glory and all the praise. Guys, college football, we are at the last game of the regular season. It's bittersweet, man. If anybody wants to start queuing around here, if everybody wants to start queuing, Simply Red, with holding back the years, you're welcome to do that. Hopefully it didn't go off on your Alexa. If I said Alexa, play Simply Red's Holding Back the Years, it probably did. So it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song, and it represents what's happening now, because we're at the end of the regular season. So bittersweet, but also we can drive right into what's happening into 2026. Before we get into Miami and Indiana for the national championship, before we discuss that, let's discuss one big move that happened, and it was announced yesterday on SportsCenter on ESPN. It was Dante Moore, and I said on Tuesday's show, which was funny because I mentioned this on Tuesday's show that he should stay. Well, he announced it that on yesterday, Wednesday, January the 14th, it is January 15th now, he announced that he will return to Oregon. He is coming back for the 2026 college football season. He will not go to the NFL draft. He will return for his, most likely, which will presumably be his last season in college football for the 2026 season. It was funny that we talked about that and that he announced that, because right as he announced it, I was posting a clip from this past Tuesday's episode of why he should stay at Oregon. And I thought that was perfect timing. I posted it on YouTube Shorts, on the YouTube account, and I posted it on X, and I posted it on Instagram. Go and follow and subscribe on YouTube, and follow and subscribe on X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy for more takes. I posted it on there. Was ready to post it on there, and then all of a sudden, as I posted it on there, I think he should stay at Oregon. Boom, he announces he stays at Oregon. Kind of funny how the Lord works, guys. The Lord is good. We praise him, and we give him all the praise. But let me go on and say this. I had a feeling this was coming. And not only I had a feeling this was coming, I just felt that it just wasn't time for him to go to the NFL. I just don't think he was ready for the NFL. I thought that he should have stayed, and I think he made a good decision. I think he made a great decision staying at Oregon. He can develop more. He really could. He can develop more. Now, what does that mean excuse me, for Dylan Raiola. What does that mean for him? He transferred to Oregon. He signed at Oregon. It's looking like he's taken the Dante Moore approach. And what I mean by the Dante Moore approach is he's taken the approach of, I'm going to start at a Big Ten Power 4 school, and then I'm going to transfer, right, and then sit behind and develop more. Look, his numbers were great. Dante Moore, not just Dante Moore, Dylan Raiola's rather, his numbers were great. His numbers were better than his freshman year. I think his numbers can even be better. I think Dylan Raiola sitting behind Dante Moore for a year is also a very good decision. Look, Oregon's quarterback room is set up for the next couple of 3, maybe 4 years now, with Dylan Raiola now backing up Dante Moore. You get Dante Moore on for one more year, he can develop, and not only that, he can potentially give y'all back to a national championship, maybe, if it happens. We'll see. He can develop, turn into a Heisman Trophy quarterback, and not only that, maybe a Heisman Trophy quarterback, and not only that, he can become probably the bona fide number 1 pick in the draft. I think Dante Moore is that good. He just needs to work on some stuff. Can he do it this season? Absolutely. Do I think he will do it this season? Absolutely. I think he needs just one more year, and that's it. Just one more year at Oregon. Now, for Dylan Raiola, like I said, it will benefit him sitting under Dante Moore, taking that approach, sitting under him, developing as a backup, and then he'll even be better if he sits out a year, I think. So that's just my thoughts on everything. So Oregon's set up for the next, I would say 2 to 3 years, maybe 3, most likely, if tops 3 to 4 years at quarterback in Eugene. So good on Dan Lanning for getting Dylan Raiola in the portal, and not only that, getting Dante Moore back to start for the 2026 season. So good on Dante Moore and good on Dylan Raiola in Oregon. And so it's a win all around for everybody. Now, if you look at the NFL draft for the 2026, how it started versus how it ended, I thought that was very beyond me, right? We had guys like Garrett Nussmeier, who it seems like no one's really talking about Garrett Nussmeier anymore. It seems like after the Alabama game, it kind of like he was like almost a ghost, it seemed like, which was kind of sad. He was a projected number 1 pick. Kay Klubnik, a projected number 1 pick, right? These guys were projected top 5 picks. Now it's like the quarterback class doesn't turn out. It didn't seem like it's so hot right now in a 2025 or 2026, rather, NFL draft. You look at guys like Fernando Mendoza, who looks like he's going to go number 1. You look at a complete shift, right? We didn't even have Fernando Mendoza on the radar as our top 10 quarterbacks in 2025 season, and now he's the best quarterback in college football right now. Ty Simpson out there, and then you got Cade Klubnik, you got a Nussmeier, but those are the 4 quarterbacks there that you look, and you're like, those are the only guys that are really in this draft. It's not really a loaded class, because all the guys that were supposed to go pro are coming back for the 2026 season to develop more. So now what you think and what you get is the 2027 draft, and you look at the 2027 NFL draft, and it is a loaded quarterback class on paper. Depending on how Sam Leavitt does at LSU, depending on what Arch Manning does, and if Arch Manning does declare, you get Dante Moore maybe in the fold. You get, I believe you would get, let me see who you get. Maybe Julian Sayin in the fold. Just maybe Julian Sayin in the fold. You get a lot of quarterbacks out there. Lenoris Sellers, he can develop even more. You get him in the fold. So you get a lot of guys in the 2027 class, and you're thinking, in the college football standpoint, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. So we'll see what happens in the 2027 NFL draft and the 2026 NFL draft as well. But Dante Moore coming back to Oregon. And look, and I named all those guys, right? Dante Moore, to me, has the attributes and has the skill and the talent to come back another year, and it's not going to hurt him. It's going to help him, and it could help him. Not only help him, he could be a top 3 pick in the 2027 NFL draft. That's how good Dante Moore can be and how good he is. To go in a loaded quarterback class and still be top 3, I think Dante Moore can very well do that. I'm just being straight up with you guys. It's a good decision to me that he came back to Oregon, I think. Yes, did he lose out on $50 million? Guaranteed, most likely? Yeah, he probably did. I think he can make more than that in the NFL if he gets even better this season. So it's going to be a good decision overall. I think. I think it will work out for the best for Dante Moore. And potentially maybe Oregon goes to the national championship in 2026. We'll see what happens. And like I said on Tuesday, it may be the year with Dante Moore back at quarterback for them to go, that's it. That's the year. This is the year Oregon wins it all. Maybe. We'll see what happens. But he's returning to Oregon. I think it's a very, very good thing for them, and they are coming back. So Dante Moore coming back to Oregon. Dylan Raiola will back up, and then he will most likely start in 2027 for the Ducks. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in 2026 with Dante Moore back at Oregon. So just wanted to talk about that. I thought that was very, very funny and fitting that when I was posting that, right, that announcement hit. So, hey, all credit goes to the college ball prodigy on that. Prodigy of college football at its finest with good timing. Shout out to the Red Zone Blitz for naming me that again. They are awesome. Shout out to them. I was on their show the other day. Go and give that one a listen. It was a Sunday when we recorded it. I don't remember. I don't know when they're dropping it. I forgot when they're dropping it. I haven't really seen it. So go back and, whenever it drops, go back and listen. Go and listen to it. It's awesome. Shout out to the Red Zone Blitz podcast for naming me the college ball prodigy, because I am the prodigy of college football, man. I will own it, and I will have that as my nickname. So shout out to those guys, man. Guys, it's time for the national championship. And it's like I said, it's a bittersweet thing. It really is, because it's like, okay, it goes, but the season has gone by so fast, and you really want to, it's like you savor it. And I keep saying that. I always say that when it comes to college football. I always say savor it. Just savor the season. Just enjoy the moments. Because in the fall, it goes by like that. You start off in week 1 of September, and we're all ready to project a national champion right there. Oh, this is the best team in college football, like we did with LSU and Clemson and others going into this week 1 season. Ohio State, and it turns out neither one of them made the national championship. Yeah, some of them made the playoffs, sure. Some of them made a bowl, the Texas Bowl. Some of them made the Pinstripe Bowl. Some of them are looking for new coaches, right? It's just you never know what happens, and then in the blink of an eye, what we expect happens in the season doesn't happen, and it didn't turn out the way we thought it was going to happen. This national championship, no one thought it was going to be Indiana and Miami. No one. I didn't, for sure. I didn't have Mendoza, and I didn't have, I don't believe I had Carson Beck on the top 10 quarterback projected list for the 2025 season. Didn't have any of them on there. Guess what? Hey, Miami and Indiana made me eat my words, and that's just how college football works. It's how the cookie crumbles when it comes to college football. So we're going to get to the recaps of their seasons and discuss that, but man, just savor college football. That's why all I wanted to tell y'all. Just savor the moment. Just savor the moments. You don't know what you have it until it's not here for a little bit, and college football is about to have an off season, which around here, we're a year-round college football show, so we're going to go over the off-season stuff as well. But you don't know what you have it until you don't have it, and it's like, just enjoy it and embrace it. Just for this Monday coming up, just embrace the sport of college football. We love the sport. We're going to see a national champion for the 2025 season. We're about to crown one. It's going to be awesome. But then it goes away until August, September. We have spring football, and we cover spring football around here. We have outlooks and results, sure. But when you look at it, you're like, okay, it's not actual playing on the grass, on the field football. And we had to wait until early September. So just enjoy it, man. Just enjoy what we have for now until the off season. Then we got to go find something else to do in our spare time. But what do? We work, so we grind. So let's talk about them, recap both teams' seasons and how they got there. We're going to kick it off with Indiana. Indiana made it to the playoff last year. Only had one loss last year. They're like 11-1 last year, I believe. 12-1 last year, I believe. They played Notre Dame, and they went to South Bend, Indiana. And Kirk Cinetti said, not only did we beat top 20 teams, you go watch the video and you'll finish the rest. Yeah, it did not turn out the way Indiana wanted it to, because Notre Dame was running up the score on them. They ended up coming back and showing some fight late in the game, but Indiana still lost in the first round to Notre Dame. Notre Dame would eventually go on to play in the national championship against Ohio State. Curtis Rourke was their quarterback. They had some guys there. They had Elijah Surratt there as well. And then they had to get a new quarterback. They had to upgrade on the offensive line because a lot of their line was, they were physical, but not as physical. They go and get Pat Coogan on the offensive line from Notre Dame, who played against Ohio State in the national championship last year. They go and upgrade their O-line. They bring back Henby and Black, and they get Black, and they get Elijah Surratt back. And then they go out and had to get a quarterback. They ended up getting a quarterback, and you're like, really? Fernando Mendoza from Cal. The Cal Golden Bears, it may be it's most likely a good fit, and it could be a good fit because he was excellent at Cal. He was really a good quarterback at Cal, but I just don't know if he had the proper help with him at Cal. So then he goes to Indiana, and against Old Dominion, first game, they only win 27-14. Now, Old Dominion, keep in mind, was I believe, if you want to look at their schedule here, I believe they were a 9 to 10 win team, I believe. In this 9 to 10 win team, Old Dominion was, and they beat them. They beat them, I believe. Let's see, Old Dominion 10-3. They were 10-3. So Old Dominion went 10-3, 27-14. He really didn't throw a touchdown pass in that game, and you're thinking, okay, all right, give it time. Let's just give it time. And then they played Kennesaw State and beat them 56-9. Kennesaw State. You're thinking, okay, Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, really? I mean, are you serious, right? Their head coach, Jerry Mack, was named Bear Bryant Newcomer Coach of the Year, right, in the 2025 season at Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State, you know what they did? They, on their schedule, as we pull it up, went 10-4. Guess what? They played in the Conference USA Championship. Guess what happened? They won the Conference USA Championship. So not only did they beat a great Old Dominion team, they beat a Conference USA champion. So a lot of people who are going to say, yes, their schedule's a little bit, easy, right? Indiana's schedule this year was a lot name-wise and ranked wins and team-wise was a lot better this year than it was last year. They ended up beating a conference champion in the Conference USA, ended up being a 10-win Old Dominion team. They played Indiana State, beat them 73-0. And then they were just scoring points at will. They were just dominating. So then you look at Illinois, and I said, okay, Indiana's good, but we didn't know what Kennesaw State and Old Dominion were going to become at the time. So I made the prediction around, I believe, week 4. I said that Illinois was going to beat Indiana on the road. Shame on me, because it ended up being a 63-10 win at home against Illinois. It wasn't close. It started off okay for Illinois on one drive, and then Indiana blew them out every single drive of the game and every single quarter of the game. Indiana just dominated Illinois. They made me eat my words. And at that time, I made my declaration that said Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman hype could be real if he keeps playing the way he's playing, because he was balling out at that time, and he's still balling out. Iowa, 20-15. They ended up beating them then. And it was a close game. Iowa probably played them closer than besides maybe Ohio State, played them closer than anybody, right? And then after Iowa, they turned around after a bye week and ended up going to Eugene, Oregon. And I said that Oregon made that declaration as well, that Oregon was going to blow them out by 10 points. Double-digit home win for Dan Lanning and the Ducks. It was the other way around. Indiana bullied Oregon in that game. They out-physicaled Oregon in that game, and Indiana beat Oregon by 10 in Eugene. A top 3 win, not just a top 3 win. It was a top 5 win in college football for Indiana. Kirk Cignetti said, Google him, he wins. He's winning. He is undefeated at that point. Michigan State, another win. You rack it up. UCLA, who was coming off of a great kind of awesome run, a Cinderella-sparked run. If they kept winning, who knows what would have happened to UCLA. Yeah, they shut that down really quick, 56-6. Not in Bloomington, Indiana. They went to Maryland, beat them 55-10. They played a Penn State, got off the heels of firing James Franklin. A remarkable, probably catch of the year catch by Omar Cooper when Fernando Mendoza led them to a game-winning drive, and they won. Indiana beat Penn State 27-24. They won in a huge game for Indiana, and defining drive for Indiana. They had to face a little bit of adversity, and they did face some adversity in that game. Catch of the year by Omar Cooper gets them the game-winning touchdown, and then they win 27-24 in in Happy Valley. They played Wisconsin 31-7, won that one. Then they played Purdue at the very end and beat them 56-3. They ended up clinching a spot in the Big Ten championship. And who are they going to play? Ohio State. And I said that this was the collision course that everybody was waiting on. You're like, Joel, have you learned your lesson by betting against a very strong Indiana team? Nope, I didn't, because I picked Ohio State to win that game. As we look at the schedule here, they ended up beating Ohio State 13-10 and winning the Big Ten championship. They ended up getting the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. Indiana, the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. No one would have thought about that 2 to 3 years ago. Nobody. And they did it. They did it. It's not college basketball. It's college football. They're a football powerhouse now, it seems like. They're doing great in the transfer portal. They're doing great at recruiting. Kirk Cignetti is changing that whole program around into a football powerhouse. They end up getting a bye. Every team who has had a bye in the quarterfinal, you run away. Yeah, not Indiana. They're the only team out of the 2 years we've seen the 12-team playoff. They're the only team that has won after coming off of a bye. They not only beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl, they blew them out 38-3. They ended up going to play Oregon in the semifinal this past week. They played in the Peach Bowl. Everyone was saying, do not sleep on Oregon. I was saying, I can't bet against Indiana again. I won't bet against Indiana again. I picked them against Alabama. I got to pick them against Oregon. They blew Oregon out. Pick 6 on the first play, 11 seconds. 56-22 was the final score of that game. Indiana is blowing everybody out. They've dominated everybody they played this season. It is mind-boggling to think that Indiana, the Hoosiers of Indiana, is blowing everybody out and dominating college football. Crazy. Big Ten champion. Number 1 team in the nation, going to play for a national championship. Has not once won a national title. Going to play for a national title in college football. Their first football national championship, I believe. Let me look that up just to be in case. Their first national title in college football. They've never won a title in football. So could that be a thing Monday? Could that happen on Monday? We will see. But, man, they look dominant. They look good. They look hungry. They look like they're ready to achieve that goal and bring home a national championship to Bloomington, Indiana. Man, I said earlier this year that who is this year's Indiana? Well, it's Indiana. I mean, this year's Indiana was Indiana. Indiana is not going away. It's not seeming like they're going away. They look like they're great in recruiting coming up in the next couple of years. They look good in the transfer portal. Kirk Cignetti is doing a remarkable job with the Indiana Hoosiers. This season has been tremendous for them. Fernando Mendoza ended up winning the Heisman Trophy. He's only had 5 completions in the college ball playoff so far. I literally can count on my hand, if y'all are looking at me on YouTube, how many incompletions he's had. That's 5. It's insane. And Indiana looks like a team that is ready to rock and roll. What a season Indiana has had. I mean, it's one of those things where it's not really a Cinderella story, but it's almost like who knew this was going to happen to an even better degree, because they're way better than they were last year. Joel Klatt said this. Joel Klatt said from Fox Sports said, watch out for Indiana, because they're looking like they're going to be better this year. They're a better team this year. And I think they're a better team this year than they were last year. And he said all that. Yeah, he said that they were a better team this year than they were last year. And he was right. He called it, because they're a way better team this year than they were last year. And they made the playoffs their first year. And now their second season, that Kirk Cignetti in his second season year has won a Big Ten title and has a shot at winning a national championship and bringing home their first title in football. Crazy. Crazy story. Indiana looks like they're going to win the national championship, or could win the national championship. We will see what happens, but it's been a remarkable season and a remarkable run. They've just been flat out dominant on the line of scrimmage, at quarterback, at running back, at receiver, at DB. They've just been elite all around. There's not a flaw I can find out of them. And there's no 5-stars on that team. You look at that, and there's no 5-star talent on that team. It's all about experience and who's been there before, and they're a team ready to play for each other. They're a team ready to play for each other. They're battle-tested. They're ready, and they're hungry. And that is what makes Indiana so good. They don't make many mistakes, and that is what makes Indiana really, really good in this. So, Indiana, man, powerhouse in football. We'll see what happens, man. We will see what happens in the years to come. But Indiana has a shot at playing for a national championship and doing something that nobody has done in 125 years. Indiana doing something that no one's done in 125 years, and that is be the first 16-0 team in college football. Dabo Swinney mentioned that Clemson was going to try to do that this year. It's looking like somebody else is going to do that, and that's Indiana. Yale was the last team to do that 25 years ago. Crazy. Absolutely mind-boggling from Indiana and Kirk Cignetti. It's looking like we kind of expected Indiana to get there because by the way they played throughout the whole season. Now, as we flip to the other side of that, the same may not have been said about Miami. And Miami, as we now recap their season, Miami had and the thing is, I didn't give enough credit to Miami. Miami is in their 100th season in college football, 100th season. Now, in their 100th season, they have a shot at winning the national championship. And guess what? It's at home. The national championship game is at home. Nobody has had a home college has had a home national championship game. And Miami is the first to do it. 100th season, to conclude their 100th season in college football, to conclude a home national championship by winning it all in front of their fans. That is crazy. It would be a great story for Miami to tell. Miami. Did not expect Miami to be at this moment. I really didn't. I was really kind of sleeping on Miami. I had Miami in the top 5 or top 3 at least in the ACC conference standing projections for 2025. They ended up, and I had Notre Dame beating Miami. And Notre Dame ended up losing to Miami 27-24. Hang on to that one. They ended up winning 1-0. Bethune-Cookman, 2-0. USF, and a remarkable story by South Florida and Alex Golish. Can they beat Miami? Miami was the one to shut everything down there. They ended up beating USF 49-12. They ended up going to play Florida, beating them 26-7 in Hard Rock Stadium. They ended up beating Florida State 28-22. They were 5-0 at that point, and then I was thinking, 5-0. Let's watch out for Louisville, though. Louisville's on a good roll here, and Friday night ACC games were a little bit weird, and it was weird because 24-21 was the final score. Louisville upset Miami. That was a pigskin game, by the way, this year, and I picked Miami to win. I got that one wrong by 3 points. They're a one loss on their record. They turn around and beat Stanford 42-7, and you're thinking, okay, everything's good. Everything's fine. They are, 6-1. Everything's good as we ride into November 1st, right? And then they play SMU in Dallas. And SMU's putting up a fight against Miami. And you're thinking, okay, well, Miami doesn't need to lose this. Because I think if Miami lose this, the way the ACC's going, with no conference championship, with no conference with the conference championship stuff going on, who's going to compete for the conference championship? The ACC was just in total chaos. So it's like, okay, they don't need to lose this one. And what does Miami do? They lose. They lose in overtime to SMU, and they're a 2-loss team. At that point, I kind of wrote Miami off, and shamefully wrote Miami off. Well, shame on me, right, for writing Miami off. They made me eat my words. Beat Syracuse 38-10, beat NC State 41-7, beat Virginia Tech 34-17, and beat Pitt 38-7. The key to all of this was Notre Dame kept winning. And Notre Dame kept winning. If Notre Dame would have lost a little bit more, maybe it would have been a different outcome. Maybe Miami could have not have gotten in. We'll see what happens. And if Georgia Tech would have won the ACC title, maybe, just maybe, Miami wouldn't have been the ACC team that was in. It may have been Georgia Tech. So we'll see what happens. But Georgia Tech lost, and that helped Miami a little bit more. Notre Dame won more and more and more because they were a 2-loss team. They lost to A&M and Miami. So we get to playoff weekend, and all these things, the ingredients for the ACC happened. And Duke beating Virginia, well, that helped Miami even further. And not only that, James Madison helped James Madison get in as well. So all the ingredients for the ACC being in chaos, and all the ingredients of Notre Dame just keeping on winning after losing to Miami and Notre Dame, the head-to-head conversation started happening. And I was wrong for putting it in. I was wrong for putting Miami behind Notre Dame. So what I did on my last one was I put Miami ahead of Notre Dame because it was only fair. And I apologize. I issued a public apology for putting Miami backwards because that's what needed to be done. Miami deserved to be ahead of Notre Dame. They beat them straight up. But I also put Notre Dame and Miami both in the playoff. I put Alabama out because they were a 3-loss team. Notre Dame ended up going out. Alabama ended up going in. And Miami was in over Notre Dame. And they made it in. After all the chaotics, the uncertainty with 2 losses, was Notre Dame going to be left out? Was Miami going to be left out? All of that was happening. And then Miami gets in. And then Miami doesn't disappoint. They beat Texas A&M in College Station 10-3. Offensively, kind of like, let's get a little bit better. Okay, they got a little bit better against Ohio State. Beat Ohio State 24-14 off of a dominant performance on the line of scrimmage and defensively. And then you look at Ole Miss, a chaotic finish, 31-27 with Carson Beck hitting a game-winning rushing touchdown at the very end. And now Miami's playing for a national championship. I said earlier during the season when they were on their 5-0 run, when they were undefeated, I said in like early to mid-October, Miami's one of the best teams in college football. They look better than anybody else. It was kind of hard to see that after them losing to Louisville and losing to SMU. And those two teams were unranked and didn't really go to the ACC championship and weren't even competitors and even really a thing at this point. They ended up going to their bowl games, but it was kind of one of those things where it's like, man, you kind of wrote Miami off a little bit, and I wrote Miami off. But then you kind of just don't realize that, hey, even as a 2-loss team, they're still playing how they played against a Florida State, against a Stanford, against a Florida, against a USF, against a Notre Dame, how they played in those games. You kind of just not realize that those 2 losses turned me off from the prospect of, hey, they're still in the hunt. Sometimes losses do that to you. To spectators, they turn you off and blind you from the fact that, hey, even though they're a 2-loss team, they're still kind of in this thing. So don't write them off. And what was so crazy was the chaos in the ACC kind of made me write them off. They're physical up front. Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, great on the defensive line. You have Carson Beck, who at times can struggle, but finds a way to make plays to win the game. You got Mark Fletcher. You got Keelan Marion at receiver. You got C.J. Daniels at receiver. You got Shamar Brown at running back as well. Malachi Toney, the freshman sensation, coming in at receiver, who was not even supposed to be in college football this year. He reclassified and ended up being a freshman this year. You got the ingredients and the talent, and Mario Cristobal finally getting them there, finally coaching them really well to the point where it's like, just trust the process. And everybody bought into the process with Mario Cristobal, and he finally got them there with Shannon Dawson at OC, with Corey Heatherman at DC. You finally got them there. Miami has had a heck of a season, a remarkable season. They're still, and they are now starting to a little bit, I guess on defense at least, play like how I said they were back in mid-October and early October. One of the best teams in the sport. Miami had a heck of a season. Despite, should they not be in, they were in, and the committee did not disappoint with that. They made sure that they made the right decision, and Miami was right at getting in. That was the right team to get in. They've proven that, and they're in the national championship, a home field advantage, a home national championship for the first time in college football for Miami. They get that against a really good Indiana team. Man, let's preview and predict this national championship. I just recap both Indiana and Miami seasons. Let's preview and predict this national championship, and let's wrap up here on Pigskin Frenzy. Not too long of an episode, about a 35 to 40-minute episode. Typical Pigskin Frenzy episode, usually as we get close to the offseason. But let's preview and predict this national championship game, man. And let's kick it off. With, I believe, as we last saw, we're going to kick it off with Indiana here, but Indiana at Miami in the national championship. And we're not going to say versus because it's really not a neutral site game. This is a home game for Miami. But who's going to travel well? Because I'm going to tell you what, in the Peach Bowl, it turned into Bloomington South. I mean, because that whole Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and that whole Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia this past Friday last Friday was Indiana. We saw glimmers of Oregon in there, but it was mainly Indiana. So Indiana can travel well. Will Indiana travel well for this game? I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of Miami fans there as well. They're ready to go. I'm pretty sure the faithful, the alumni for Miami is going to be there. It's a huge game for Miami. It's their first national championship appearance since the early 2000s. Since they're probably their last one since 2001, since 2001-2, when the 2001 Miami Hurricanes won the national championship. So Indiana at Miami in the national championship. Indiana is an 8.5-point favorite. We're going to get into that. So what we're going to do our keys. We're going to talk about is the spread too high. I'm going to do it just how we do it with our guest pickers. So we're going to talk about that. Indiana at Miami, with Indiana being an 8.5-point favorite in this ball game. Now, here are the keys for Indiana. The keys are simple for Indiana. Number one, you got to protect Fernando Mendoza. I mean, Miami has racked up 13 sacks in this college football playoff so far. So if you're Indiana, you're going to have to figure out a way to not let Mesidor and Bain get to you and not let all these guys up front get to you, because they can pressure. Miami's aggressive. And what I mean aggressive is they show blitz and sim pressures at least as well, to the point where they can get to Fernando Mendoza without you really even knowing that they're going to blitz or get to Fernando Mendoza. So they create a lot of sim pressures. They create a lot of moments to where you look and you're thinking, oh, like, didn't know that was coming. They just explode on you on defense. So protect Fernando Mendoza if you're Pat Coogan and company on the offensive line. Number two, if you're Indiana, establish the running game. You have a solid, a top 11, top 10 rushing offense in the sport. Miami is number 6 in rushing defense in college football. But knowing Indiana and how well they can run the ball, even against good rushing defenses, establish the running game. Try your best. If you can establish the run game on a top 10 rushing defense in Miami, then you should be really good in this game. So with Hindi and Black, they are really good at power running, not really bursts of speed, yes, but they're really good at power running as well. I believe with the power runs, maybe that can get a hold of Miami and could put Miami's defense on its heels. I think that's what really needs to work for Indiana in this game, is running the football well. So run the football and establish that running game. And then finally, last but not least for Indiana, the third key is this: win the line of scrimmage battle. Try to outmatch them on the line of scrimmage. It's going to be tough because Miami is really good on both sides of the ball in the trenches. So you got to figure out a way to win a line of scrimmage battle against their D-line, against their O-line. Try to figure out a way to outmatch, try to finesse your way, because I know Miami's offensive line is bigger than Indiana's defensive line, but they have some pretty good defensive linemen that are athletic, that are very athletic and can finesse their way in there. So figure out a way to finesse your way to Carson Beck and get to him and pressure them up front. So win a line of scrimmage battle if you are Indiana. Miami's keys to me are pretty simple. Establish the running game. I mean, obviously, Indiana is second in rushing defense in the sport. They know how to slow down and contain and stop the run. But Mark Fletcher, with 100-plus rushing yards on the ground against Ole Miss rushing defense that is pretty aggressive as well. Miami can be pretty good at running the ball with Brown and Fletcher. So if you can rotate those backs, kind of like how Black and Hemby do, run the football and see if that can work against a solid Indiana defense, and see if you can score points that way and have a balanced attack on the offense if you're the Canes. So that's number one. Number two, you got to force turnovers. Indiana does not make many mistakes. So if you have an opportunity for them to pick the ball off or fumble or get a turnover in that, you should be fine. They do not make many mistakes. They're nearly impossible. It's literally nearly perfect and flawless in their games. Like, they just have not made many mistakes, not throughout the season and not throughout the playoffs. So if you can figure out a way to be one of the only teams that forces turnovers against this team, Ohio State was one of them. If you can do that and force some turnovers, maybe you can capitalize off those turnovers and win the game that way. And then number three, establish your dominance and win the line of scrimmage. That's how y'all win ball games, right? So out physical them in the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, offensive line, defensive line, and win the line of scrimmage battle. If you're going to be the more physical team, you may have to be that in this national championship game if you were Miami. So that's the 30 keys for Miami. Win the line of scrimmage battle, force turnovers, and establish the running game if you are them. The spread, to me, I don't know if the spread is wrong, only because of how dominant Indiana has been. 8.5 to me. Maybe if you would like to lower it to maybe like -6, maybe, or -6.5, maybe. Sure, you can lower it to that maybe, but 8.5 to me is justifiable the way Indiana's been playing throughout these playoffs. So I don't know necessarily if the spread is wrong in this one. So if you're talking about that, right? I don't know if it's necessarily wrong or not, so we'll see what happens. But let me know, guys, what you think in the comments. Let me know. Just let me know in the comments on Spotify, Podbean, or YouTube. Let me know down below, or on X and Instagram, if the spread's too high or not. I don't know if it necessarily is. Who do I have winning this ball game? Well, man, Miami has had a really good season. They've been really good and impressive throughout these playoffs, man. I mean, what they've done to A&M defensively, what they've done to Ohio State, they've dominated Ohio State. What they've done to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss had a really heck of a good game. They fought really hard in that game, and they just brought it to Ole Miss. And it's been really just the line of scrimmage. The line of scrimmage. They got talent. They have a team. Yes, the line of scrimmage play. Indiana has no 5 stars. I know Miami has some 5 stars. Indiana has no 5 stars. To me, Miami at home is really, really telling. It's really telling something. Because you're at home, you're a home field national championship. You got the crowd on your side, home field advantage. A lot of things can go your way. Great players on both sides of the ball, electrifying players, and it's all in your favor, it seems like. And a lot of people are favoring Indiana on the spread, but a lot of people are picking Miami to win this game. A lot of people are picking Miami to win this game. I look at Indiana, and it's a team that is flawless, that can match up with you at the line of scrimmage, that has experience and age on their side, on their team, that is battle-tested and ready to go, and does not make many mistakes against even good teams like an Oregon, like Bama, blowing them out of the water and beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, right? So I look at Miami and you think, how can you not pick Miami? Well, I'm not going to pick Miami. I can't bet against Indiana again. Indiana has been the most dominant team all year. Not just all schedule at least. They have been really dominant. They've dominated throughout the whole playoffs. Miami showed some signs of could have lost that game against Ole Miss. Carson Beck, I think, needs to have a flawless game. Carson Beck's played okay. I think he won the game against Ole Miss. I don't know how a battle between him and Mendoza is going to go. Mendoza's only incompleted 5. He's only had 5 incompletions throughout this whole game, throughout this whole playoffs. I can't bet against Indiana again. I can't do it. I've done it again. I've done it before, and Indiana has shown me up every time. When I pick for Indiana, like I did against Oregon, and like I did with Alabama, I picked Indiana to beat both teams. They ended up blowing them out of the water. To me, this is a team of destiny. This team is destined to win the national championship, and I think they're going to win the national championship. Guys, can I be real? I don't think this game's going to be close. And that's not me knocking against Miami. That's not me saying anything bad about Miami. I think Miami's had a heck of a season. They made the national championship for the first time since the early 2000s. I was a baby the last time they made the national championship and the last time they won a national championship. The thing is, though, Indiana is destined for this. They were like game bred for this. They were ready to rock and roll for this. They've had a heck of a season. Mendoza, to be in fact, is knocking it out of the park. They don't make many mistakes, and I don't think they're going to make many mistakes. I think this game's not going to be close. I think they are athletic enough on the offensive line and the defensive line to combat what they are doing up front. They've done it with others. I know Miami's a different team up front. Miami's physical up front. I think Mendoza's going to create some back shoulder throws and get some scores on the board to beat them out. I think Indiana's going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Indiana's going to win probably 31-14. Indiana 31, Miami 14. Indiana wins the national championship and wins their first national championship in football program history, and to be the first undefeated 16-0 team since Yale in 125 years. Indiana wins. I think it's not going to be close. And that's not me knocking Miami. I hope this is a game. I hope Miami makes me eat my words. And if Miami does win the national championship, good. I'm glad you made me eat my words. I'm glad Mario Cristobal made me eat my words. I hope they can prove me wrong. I think Indiana's a better team. I think they're going to win the national championship, and I don't think it's really going to be close at the end of the day. I think they run away with it 31-14. The Hoosiers are the national champions for the 2025 season. Guys, that's all we got for Pigskin Frenzy today. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram is at Pigskin_Frenzy. The website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, we are super fired up for Pigskin Frenzy on Tuesday. We're going to recap the national championship game. We're going to recap the 2025 college football season. So stay tuned for that on Tuesday. We're ready. We're fired up. We cannot do this without you guys. 70,000 channel views on YouTube, 6,400 listeners across all audio platforms. A big thank you guys for tuning in each and every Tuesday and Thursday and throughout this season, because without you guys, we would have not had a killer and great season like we have had this season in our third year of Pigskin Frenzy. Now we're going to get ready to go into year 4 after the national championship ends up happening, and as we go into February, it will be year 4 of Pigskin Frenzy. So let's have a great year 4 of doing this and creating content and being here in college football media for Pigskin Frenzy. We cannot do this without you guys. We're so thankful for your support, and we're so thankful for our Lord and Savior Jesus. Without him, we would not be doing this. We give him all the praise, and we glorify him and praise him across college football media and for just delivering us into Pigskin Frenzy. So we give him all the praise, and we praise him and glorify him. Guys, we will see you Tuesday as we recap the national championship game and the college football 2025 season. We will see you then. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the national championship. Guys, I'm Joel Norris signing off. For everybody out there, we're praying for you all. Stay the course.